Welcome to Conversations with Sarah. I'm Sarah Reddan, therapeutic coach of SRT2, and today I'm joined by Kristeen, known as KP, founder of Bulletproofing Birds and KP in the Park. She's a female health and wellness coach, and we're going to talk about health and cycling your menstrual cycle around your life. Welcome, Kristeen. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Sarah. How's things?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Very well. How about you?
I'm good. I'm excited today to be on here with you.
I've been watching you on Instagram, and I was very lucky that I guested on your podcast. So I know you are really passionate about this subject, and you have loads and loads of knowledge and information to share. So I guess
am
for
the
people who,
queen.
Yeah, it's amazing the stuff that you share about. For people that have never come across you before, can you tell me just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've worked in the industry for 16 years as a personal trainer, but then started to kind of dig deeper because I think, and you'll probably come across this yourself, you know, when you're just getting told, oh, do this and do that, and there's just a disconnect. There was always this disconnect for women, and I'm like, why can't they just do the program and then get to their goals and But it's just because we're a bit more complex, you know. So like with the hormone health, and then running into my own hormone problems, realizing that it wasn't just as simple as the kind of calorie deficit. So it just took me down a path of that. And also my mum getting not well was basically just having no knowledge on female health, and it was just things that could have been avoided. And looking back now, I can see the pitfalls and where she went wrong, and I just wanted to kind of help other people not have to go down that path, you know, because knowledge is power. Once you learn about your female cycle, you learn about your hormones, you don't feel so lost. You feel like you can do something about it because we're powerful, we can do stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I wanted to give women that power back. And that's how I kind of got into all the kind of cycling your hormones. And I just find it really interesting. It's just a pure hobby now. It's like a passion of mine. So I love it, and I love spreading the health. So I'm glad I'm on.
So what brought you into fitness originally then?
Doing the phone calls in the gym, like just not really that interested in fitness. I was 18, I was young, I was still out partying, you know, when you've got the energy to do that. It's getting worse now. But so I was doing the calls. So say you didn't come to the gym for a couple of days, I would phone you and say, hi Sarah, why are you not coming to the gym? And then because I was in that environment, I could see people changing their life just like through getting in better shape. Then it was affecting their mental health, and I thought, this is cool, I'm going to start doing this myself. And then that was just it. From then it just got me into different things about fitness, but the female health is just always, I'm just interested in that the most.
So I mean, you've touched on it a little bit, so like kind of your own journey with your mum's health stuff. So what's made you really kind of niche down into this approach of, like, you know, using cycling your menstrual cycle around your life, and like how does that fit in with fitness?
Because you need to cycle in your menstrual cycle. But women, we have two clocks, right? So guys have got a circadian rhythm. So that's a 24-hour clock, right? So that's why their hormones are dead simple. They're just 24 hours, boom, 24 hours. Women, we've got two biological clocks. So we've got something called an infradian rhythm, which is a 28-day cycle. So we feel different every day. We feel different weeks of the month. And that's down to our hormones and basically this biological clock. And because we are so far away from it now, I mean, things like contraceptive, turn it off, right? Just removing yourself away from eating natural and being like mindset stuff, you just lose that rhythm. So that's when your hormones become out of balance. And I don't know if you come across any of this for your clients, but people suffering from PMT and told that it's normal, and it's not normal. It's because we're not following this flow that we're meant to be following. So from years of doing it myself and correcting my own hormone problems, doing this sort of stuff, I was like, women need to know this. You need to start doing this.
Do you kind of develop plans with your clients then that of all around where you are in your cycle?
My one-to-one clients who I'm still personal training, that's what we do. And I do courses and stuff so women can learn to cycle their own periods, their own cycles, and follow a kind of yin and a yang style of cycling. Do you know what I mean? So you've got the first half of the months, like kind of your high energy, you can hit training hard, business, you're better socializing and meetings and stuff. Then when that second half of your period hits, you're a wee bit more introvert. Training should cool down a bit, so that's more yin style. So it's good to follow that, because it's a cycle of life, isn't it? And everyone's got a cycle. nature's got a cycle, the moon's got a cycle, so do we.
Yeah, and I've never come across this kind of approach in the way that you do it. So I'm sort of trying to take in everything you're saying, and it's fascinating, and it makes absolute sense that we go through these monthly cycles of having more energy, being more kind of wanting to be out and doing things. We have weeks where we've got more sexual energy, and we want to be, having
Totally.
lots of sex.
Yeah,
I
like
guess
ovulation day. Have you heard of the stripper study?
No.
So the stripper study was a study done. I didn't do this study personally, but the stripper study was done on women who do stripping for a living.
Yeah.
And on ovulation day, they actually make more money, because that's the ovulation day. You're giving off those sexy vibes. Do you know what I mean? You're confident, you even look better, your skin's better on ovulation day. So that's just a wee example of how that all, because that's when estrogen's high. It's cool, isn't it?
Incredibly powerful that something, I mean, I know for me as a woman, like having a period is just like, like going through PMS and all of that has felt very much like a burden. So to think that there's a way of claiming our power within the cycle of what we go, because I've never experienced that through medical stuff. When I started my periods, I was put on the pill because I had too much PMS, and that was kind of it. It's just like, don't worry about it. So it feels really powerful that the idea that we can use our natural cycle and tap into the different energy that we've got, and that sexual power, or that more
cool, isn't it?
Connecting with that relaxation stuff. So what difference have you seen with your clients using this approach?
Well, using this approach will help balance their, say you said, your PMT symptoms. So that's hormones out of balance. You shouldn't actually be suffering any premenstrual symptoms like headaches and stuff like that, bloating, bad cramps. You shouldn't actually be suffering any of that. But like you say, you go to the doctor, you get told it's normal, it's just your hormones, or you get put in the pill, which shuts down your ovulation, which is absolutely criminal to women, because when we ovulate, when we're at the age of ovulation, we're actually putting into the bank of health for when we're in the menopause. Like, ovulation will take care of your brain, your heart, and your bones. But that's quite important, isn't it? So, I mean, like the pill and stuff like that will just shut down production of that. So it's crazy. But again, we've got no other option. You're not told. But if you help to try and sync your periods up with your lifestyle, then it'll help balance out your hormones. Because say you're in the luteal phase of your period, right? So that's after ovulation until your next bleed. Progesterone is a soothing hormone. It doesn't like to be rattled about. So, for example, when my hormones were bad, I was training really intense every single day of the month, just really hard hitting training, But that type of training is better at the start of the month in the follicular phase. So because I wasn't following my flow and kind of adjusting my training to where my hormones were, I was throwing my hormones out of balance all the time. So when I started to sync it up, my hormones got better, my periods became regular, my PMT wasn't as bad. And so I just went from there. But you can cycle everything. You can cycle things like skincare. Your skin's different at different times of the month. Your business is such a good way to cycle, because our business is designed around guys. Like, we work in a 24-hour, there's no time, come on, we need to do this, you need to do that, loads of pressure on getting things done. When really, as a woman, we should be cycling it around our period cycle, like in the luteal phase. So that's after you ovulate, you're better at deep work, you're a wee bit more introvert, take yourself away, do that big project, sit and get into it. Whereas at the start of the month, you're more sociable, you can do your meetings, do your brainstorming. So see if you start to work around your cycle and it works with you, you actually kind of like unlock really powerful tools. Do you know what I mean? It's amazing.
It feels incredibly transformational, to kind of transformative, the word I want, to consider that just sitting in that flow of energy, that cycle, and being accepting of, this is where I'm at with my energy. There's something nurturing around that, isn't it? Fits very much 100%. Into the self-care vibe of being with your energy, as opposed to trying to like push through and be putting yourself out there. Like, it makes complete sense. Schedule your meetings for that time of your month.
You know what it's like, Sarah, we're just women, like, we push through it, push harder, but actually you'll get more from dialing it back at certain times of the month. Do you know what I mean? So, but you have
because
to...
it's in sync with our natural body's rhythm. So we're working at our optimum. We're working at optimum all the time, because we're embracing. Like, this blowing my mind. The idea that how that works is amazing.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And even things like self-care, where my women are all in different parts of their cycle. So at the start of the month, so for the follicular phase, that's kind of maybe day 5 to day 14. That's when your estrogen's peaking. You can get up early in the morning. You can do the 5 a.m. club and work a bit extra. See, when that ovulation hits and progesterone, that's your kind of soothing hormone, is back in the luteal phase. That's not time for you to get up early. You relax a bit more, sleep a bit more, then you'll be a bit more productive during the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And start to work with it.
So what do your clients kind of predominantly come to you for? What sort of thing would they seek you out for?
They seek me hormone balance, female health and wellness, this kind of gap in the female, like, I don't know if there's a huge gap in female health knowledge. And women don't know much about their own female health, because you don't get taught it. Like you said, at school you kind of get told you'll have a period, this is what a tampon looks like, good luck with that, and you're like, oh,
crack on. Don't ask too many questions.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas I've got 2 wee girls, so when it's time for them to come around to the menstrual and they're going to be having a period, I'll be explaining how it's this cool superpower and how you can work with it, and that's just been totally missed out. So as a result of that, women have all these kind of hormonal problems. They go to the doctor and, like, what happened to you? You get put in the pill, but that's not the answer. That's just, it will take whatever problem away. It will take it away. I won't lie about that. But how it takes it away is very damaging to your long-term health, because it stops ovulation. Yeah. So the hormone problem you have is stopped by the pill, but it's lurking there in the background. It's getting stronger. It's waiting for the day you come off the pill. Then it's the big tsunami wave of hormone flood. So you've still got the problem. You're always going to have the problem unless you go to the root cause and you try and fix it. But because it's not an overnight fix, you know what it's like over here. We're impatient. We want it yesterday.
And not knowing that, like, I mean, I was 12, 13 years old. So not knowing that there was other options. I mean, as a 44-year-old woman, it's not something I've really spent a lot of time thinking about, even though I work in health and well-being. I've not made, like, the connections that you're making and into the work that you're doing, because it's not something I've been educated about. It's not something that I've come across in any of my training, because it's so very different to what I do. So I absolutely hear what you're saying. There is this massive gap of as women, we don't have all this information about our basic biology.
I know, and that's the thing. I mean, two biological clocks. Who knew? What?
No, I mean, I guess on some level I knew, because we get the jokes, don't we, about kind of, you know, oh, you want babies and all of that lot. So on some level, I guess there's an awareness of it, but to think that it has such an impact on our physical health, and it would be our emotional, mental health as well. I mean, I know there's jokes about how we get extremely emotional at certain times of our period.
You shouldn't really be feeling like totally emotional. That would tell you that there's a hormone off, and it's usually progesterone. So progesterone will be released if you ovulate, and not a lot of women even ovulate in today's world. I mean, it's hard to get pregnant. I deal with a lot of women who I'm trying to help with their fertility issues, and so if you're not ovulating, you're not producing progesterone, which is quite interesting for you, especially in the line of work you do, because if you're not producing progesterone, then you can find yourself suffering with depression, anxiety, because that's a hormone that comes along and soothes you out. It's your smoothing out hormone. So if you're missing out on that, you're missing out on the Gucci of hormones. Do you know what I mean?
And it's a complete gap in my knowledge. It's not something I've ever thought about as a woman or a practitioner. And I'm really think it's quite interesting. Like, I wonder how many people that are listening are like, what? So as a person who menstruates, what other things might we need to consider, like, around our health and fitness?
Well, in terms of what if you are having a proper period, well, then you would cycle your training. For example, I was telling you that's how I ended up throwing my hormones out. Train with guys, that kind of go harder, go home style of training all the time. And that was suppressing my ovulation. So I wasn't getting the soothing hormones. So then what ended up happening is a really bad fibroids in my breasts that I had to then fix myself. And just through that learning process, I realised that training can't be like this all the time. So what I would say to people who are still ovulating and stuff like that, from day 1 to day 5, that's the day you're bleeding. So that's you're menstruating on these days, that's the day you're bleeding. Some women it will be 7 days, but women might find they've got more energy, or you might feel yourself a bit drained, and you should kind of be taking a bit longer walks outside, going towards foods that are high in iron. So that's your grass-fed meat, your kidney beans and stuff like that. Then doing a bit of a water flush is a good idea as well, help your body kind of process all those old hormones. So I get my clients to up their water intake around about that time. Then from the day you stop bleeding, so say it's day 5 to day 14, your estrogen's high, that's a steroid hormone, you're good to go, you can smash it, you feel a bit more spicy, you feel a bit more sociable, you can hit training hard, do all the things, you can do a bit of intermittent fasting, all that's good. Your metabolism's actually a bit slower on those days as well, so be mindful of your eating on those days. Then when day 14 hits, that's a good day, that's you even look better, you're glowing on that day. But after that, we start to enter progesterone phase. That's when you'll dial it back. I would lighten up your training. What's good to know is your metabolic rate is actually faster on these days. So a wee bit extra calories is actually a good thing, as long as they're healthy calories. That'll help your blood sugar stay balanced. I don't know, maybe some of your listeners, if they track their period, they can say that they feel a bit dizzy around this time, feel a bit weird, a bit jittery. That's to do with your blood sugar. So I'm all about balancing the blood sugar. I tend to try and get my clients to focus on health as opposed to this weight loss game all the time. Do you know what I mean? Because once we focus on health, you actually get in better shape anyway. So I do try and switch that mindset about, because it's a real struggle, the other mindset, because you're jumping from fad diet to fad diet, and that makes your hormones worse anyway. So around that, the luteal phase, the training's a bit cooler, a bit nicer. I just lighten up my weights. And then maybe 5 days before my period, I'll just do a bit of body weight stuff, a bit of Pilates, just because I'm entering the final stages where all your hormones are starting to drop anyway. So you won't really make any sort of strength gains in the gym if you don't have high estrogen levels. Right. So that would be the time I'd say to my girls, do not fast around that time. If you can cut down caffeine, cut down in that, because any extra stress will suppress that progesterone. And like I said, progesterone's for anxiety, for your mood, for your hair, for your skin. So see, if you have a hormone imbalance, it's usually something you're doing in the second half of your menstrual cycle. So it's good to know these things.
Yeah. And is there a way of tapping into it if you are using a birth control method that means you no longer actually have a period?
My girls who have got birth control, or some of them are just doing are perimenopausal, so your periods are all over the shop anyway. What I do, because you should still follow a sort of yin and a yang, that kind of wave in, wave out, that sort of intense and calming cycle. You should still have that anyway. So I normally get them to follow the cycle of the moon. So when it's a full moon, which was yesterday, big, huge full moon, that's ovulation day for them. So they start doing this second half of the protocol from the full moon, then the new moon. So I give them a chart and they follow that so that they can still have a cycle, and they can still have this 2 weeks of going at it and 2 weeks of like a wee bit more chilled. So it's good to have a phase, because see, at the end of the day, if we put too much pressure on our adrenal glands, which are sensitive, then we can end up with a thyroid issue, we can end up with another autoimmune condition. So we need to learn to have periods of high intensity and periods of lower intensity, and it's the balance of life, really, isn't it? It's that yin and yang. So I try and get them to do that regardless anyway, but most of the time I try and ease people off of the pill, because I mean, it was designed in the 1950s. We're still using it. Like we promoted smoking as healthy in the 1950s, like that. We've moved on now from that. So there's other ways, but it's education, isn't it? It's missing from female health, because We don't get taught it.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of issues with female health. I think, you know, it's because, as you've said, and what's been discussed about before, a lot of the medical studies, a lot of the medical research is done on men, and then it kind of just sort of gets
4% done on women.
Yeah,
4%, and that's not even taking into account their menstrual cycle. So, like everything that you read about in a magazine, all this stuff, the research has been done on a guy who has got completely different biology to you. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's blowing my mind that it's so much I didn't know. Like and I've been listening to the stuff that you talk about, and I think, oh my gosh, like I'd not even questioned these as a woman who's into health and well-being. I'd not even questioned this stuff. So I'm aware that like the BMI chart was based on white men ages ago. I'm aware of some other bits and pieces, but I'd not connected that this, you know, thing that has happened since I was 12 years old as a woman. There's power in it. It can completely change the way I can do my life in a way that can be supportive, as opposed to it being a burden. So what a powerful thing that you are bringing in to other women. And I'm not like to put it with health and fitness and be able to kind of, you're working with women to sort of be their best, aren't you, really, to actually
because it is a shame. I mean, I've dealt with women for 16 years of this, and it's always been a struggle for them. So say I train loads of partners, their husband, boom, loses weight, looking different within a couple of months. The female, she's struggling. Why am I not like that? How's my husband doing so well? And you're like, what is going on here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just an accepted norm, though, isn't it? That if you
100%.
go on a diet with your male partner, or you know, a male, they are going to lose weight quickly,
You'll do better.
and it's going to be a slower, more difficult journey for you. And it's just like, you know, whatever, just accept it. But clearly, we don't need to, because the work that you're doing is proving that you can work with your health in a different way. Is there any other advice you want to share? Is there anything, because I know you're really passionate, so like what else would you want people to know?
Just think that, because you'll get a lot of people maybe saying to you, but I use contraceptive, what am I meant to do about you know, avoiding the babies and all that? Because I get that, I've got 2 kids. I mean, that's a disaster. You don't want any more. Two's enough. So I get a lot of questions about this and what am I meant to do then. There's loads of things out now. I've done a wee podcast, I don't know if you got a chance to watch it, with a company called Natural Cycles, and they're brilliant. So they're using your body temperature to know when you're fertile. Because not many women know this. This is a crazy fact that women don't know. You can only get pregnant 6 days out of the month. Right? Because sperm has a 5-day shelf life, and you ovulate is 1 day. So it's really, really hard to get pregnant if there's not an egg there or sperm. So women think they can get pregnant any time in the month, and it's this kind of like scarcity, like, oh no, you can't. So what the Natural Cycles does is it uses your body temperature, because if you ovulate, your body temperature will go up. You know what it's like sometimes you do your period, you're roasting hot. You're like, what is going on here? I'm sweating. That's because your body temperature goes up. So using the thermometer, and it's an app on your phone, will tell you green days and red days. So days that it's safe for you to have sex and not get pregnant, and days that you're fertile and you would get pregnant, type of thing. So that's such a good tool. But that again is about fertility education and teaching people about their menstrual. I mean, girls not even understanding that there's 6 days of the month they can get pregnant. It's crazy. Like, that's like surely foundations of.
Yeah, I think it comes from that kind of sex education. I mean, I don't know about sex education in school now, because mine was a long time ago, but it very much it used to be like, just don't have sex. If you are going to have sex, you will get pregnant, or you will catch some sort of disease, and this is what it will look like. Just like
some horror show.
Just don't have sex. I mean, I used to work as a youth advisor, and I used to talk about contraception then, but very much from protecting yourself against diseases. But yeah, it's like, that's worrying that we aren't educated to know that there is a small window of when we can get pregnant. Yes, there's other things to consider, but we're talking about it in relation to hormones and the way in which we use birth control to affect our hormones. Just blows my mind. Blows my mind.
You can, if for some people that contraceptive method suits, that's fine, great. But people must know that it doesn't fix hormone issues, and especially in teenagers. Like if you go to the doctor, you've got kind of hormonal acne, that's when it's around your jawline. And I get you're a teenager, it's horrible, but it takes a decade for your hormones to balance themselves out. So support yourself by dietary things, you know, your lifestyle, because the pill will shut down your ovulation, and at such a young age, it's not good for you, because you can maybe lose your libido and never have it back. So that could be your daughter or whoever. They'll never know what it's like to have a proper libido their whole life. Like that's too much of a risk.
Yeah, and it all ties into sort of that foundational self-care, doesn't it? So rather than us just being given a tablet and told, take this, you know, then you don't have to deal with the symptoms, to be able to connect with, this is what's actually going on with my body. And if I feed myself nutritionally dense food, if I learn how to look after my skin, if I learn how to manage my stress levels, all of these foundational skills that then transfer into every other element of your life, that knowledge is so powerful, isn't it? And I guess we're by just sort of going here, oh, you've got some hormones, like you've got hormonal issues, or you're feeling a bit, like for me, I was a very angry young person, like here, don't learn how to deal with your anger, take these pills and not feel so angry. Doesn't quite make sense, does it? So I guess kind of what sort of age range do you work with? What kind of women are coming to you and realizing that actually there's a different way of doing this?
Any age of menstrual age, if you have a period at 12, it can help you there, or if you're women up until their 60s. So total vast age group that I'll work with, just because, like what we were saying, is the gap there. It just needs to be filled with some knowledge, and then you just feel empowered. I mean, it's really sad for women when they go to the doctors and they come out of there and they just feel so deflated, and I mean, I get this a lot. Is it just me? Is it me? Am I just crazy? Am I just going to have this forever? And it's sad, because no, it's not you. You're just not being taught. You've just not been taught. You've not been educated on it, which is a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, because it is education and it's knowledge, but it's getting people like you out there so people can hear it. So thank you for coming and talking to me today, so I can be a part of that process and be sort of like, you've educated me, and hopefully people are listening, are like, it's opening their minds to the possibility of life can be a little bit different, and
hopefully
other
you won't
people
feel it's a burden. Like this kind of burden, because you want to ovulate for as long as possible. Look, and I'm saying to my women who are perimenopausal, so that's from the age about 35 and up, you know, increase your omegas in your diet and eat more fiber, because you want to try and get your period to last a bit longer. Just doing those couple of simple things can make your period be here for an extra 2 years. And you want that. Women are like, why would I want a period for another 2 years? Because you need to think about the long game. So that's your brain health. So women, older women after the menopause, senile dementia. I mean, if you've looked after yourself in your ovulation years, then you're at low risk of that. Heart attacks in women over 50, and then obviously osteoporosis. So it's women's health. We need to really, really learn to start taking care of our actual health. 87% of women, 87% of autoimmune disease is women. Why? That's very, very high. Like, that's crazy. As women, so there's something.
I mean, I'm just sitting here speechless, because like I'm thinking, God, if I had this knowledge 20 years ago, how different my life experience may have been.
And that was the same with my mum, and that's what made me think, no, I want to stop this now. It was the same with my mum. We were sitting going, if we'd have known this stuff, this could have been totally different. This could have been a different scenario. But it's all a learning process, isn't it? But I just thought I want to help women not have to go through those troubles in their life, you know, and have a bit of power.
And so I know, like, you've got the podcast, so you've got the Bulletproofing Birds podcast. You're really, really active on Instagram. You're forever popping up with lives and like really interesting kind of snippets of information.
Well, I know you on there.
How do people get in touch with you if they want to work with you sort of one-to-one? Where are you based? What's
It's all online. I'm actually running a
Everything's
course now.
yeah.
It's called Go With Your Flow. So it's just finishing. And we'll only launch that twice a year because you can imagine a lot of hormonal women at the one time. Like, I need a break after that. So
Yeah.
that's twice a year. I'll be launching the Female Health and Wellness Academy, which is a membership in January. And that's for women to come on. That's all online. And there'll be classes, there'll be master classes. I'll be on it, and it's a good place to share. I mean, it's funny when women start to share hormone issues and stuff, then people go, well, me too, I get that as well. And because it's not really massively a conversation you would bring up whilst having a wee lunch with your gal pals sometimes, is it? You know,
it really isn't.
No,
and I'm the kind of person that likes to have these conversations, but it's really not. It's not something I've particularly had a conversation about, unless you're actively trying to get pregnant or you are complaining about like cramping. It's kind of not really something we talk about, is it?
No, I mean, like you bringing up over lunch, oh, see the blood clots I've got, and you and your girl pals are like, what?
Yeah.
No, leave. So it's just a safe space. It's going to be, the academy is going to be a safe space for women to share and learn and just really, really have that side of it that you don't have with your girl pals, that you can just say all this stuff and it's okay.
It's clearly something we need. It's clearly something, you know, I'm realizing how little I am educated in this area from this conversation. So clearly, like, you know, it's something we need to be empowering women of all ages 100%. To tap into the knowledge, to understand and be able to apply it. You know, you might not want to be going to the gym, but from listening to you today, if it's not like fitness that you want to get better at, applying it to your business, applying it to your relationships,
just understanding why you feel like that.
You know, knowledge, just having that
not
knowledge.
Just going, why do I feel this way? And you don't just think that you're bonkers. You go, oh, there's a reason I'm feeling like this. Do you know what I mean? You just start to feel better already.
And that community, isn't it? That community space of hearing other people's stories and knowing that it's not just you, and how people have overcome, because like you've shared, you've used this for you to help you with your health, so you know that it can be successful.
Yes, and I've used it for God knows how many years now with females, and I've seen the results, and it's brilliant. Just having the power, just that empowerment, you just see such a transformation. I'm not really big into you see some personal trainers with the before and after pictures of the women standing in the pants and then standing in a new pair of pants with a spray tan. That's not my type of transformations. I'm like more empowering, like you can see their confidence go up, their sex life's better, and I'm just like, that's the kind of transformations that I'm into. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what made me want to speak to you, because you are about health, not weight loss. You're about body empowerment, which it all sits alongside my ethos and the way that I like to work, and the change that I think we need to see in the world that women need. We need this kind of nurturing of who we are, however we are, loving our bodies, living our best lives with knowing who we are. And this is another part of that. That's another part of knowing who we are and being in touch with our cycle and the power that we have within that. If we understand it, that's amazing.
And I mean, it's what we were saying before, it's that full body, mind, spirit, everything connection, isn't it? And it just reiterates it. It's just like affirming it, that's how it has to be. I love all that.
Thank you so much. I mean, I think we're kind of at time. I think we may have even gone over time. So if we bring it to a close now, is there anything you want to leave people listening with? Because I know you've got lots of amazing information, but one last thing for people to go away thinking about.
I just think that people need to know that they can make a change to themselves. And if you can armor, this is my way, if you can armor yourself, then you will thrive in life. But that's getting as much knowledge as you can and understanding yourself. Everyone's journey is different. So what maybe worked for your friend might not work for you, but that's okay, because this is a path of self-discovery. So that's what I want. I want them to feel empowered, and you need to do that by getting as much knowledge as you can.
Yeah, and I would echo that. It's your journey, isn't it? So empower 100%. Yourself, educate yourself with what's going to work for you, rather than just doing what everyone else says. thank you so much for coming on and speaking with me.
Thanks for having me, Sarah.
I've loved it, and you've really given me lots to think about. So I should be picking your brain actually later
Oh.
about some other things as well. Thank you to everyone that's listened. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I would love to hear your feedback, any suggestions. To find out more about me and my guest, visit srtt.co.uk and follow SRTT podcast on the social media. I'll be back next Wednesday with a new guest. Until then, stay curious and be kind to yourself.